No, I've got it. I now understand Coach Cardoso and especially why he was brought in to Mamelodi Sundowns. I think if you watch back the games that Mamelodi Sundowns have played up to this point, the one thing that stands out with Coach Cardoso is, even if the first move, the first lineup, the first tactic is not working, or even if it does work, the second half is always different. And I think he's a coach that's able to see the things in real time and change and answer questions. And what this game showed is that a lot of the South African coaches, or a lot of coaches that have come before, or some of the coaches in the league, don't have a plan B, a full plan B. They've got a plan A and an idea of what they're going to do. So if you look at this game, if I can use Magesi as the example, Magesi were brilliant in the first half. Magesi came in with a plan. We're going to stay compact. We're going to sort of not pack the middle, but we're going to bring everybody inside so that we force Mamelodi Sundowns wide. And not only are we going to force Mamelodi Sundowns wide, because we're going to rob them of their normal passages of play, the ball is going to move so slowly moving forward that Reina's out. He's not going to do anything in this game. Shalulile and Reyners are not going to find joy. Shalulile was going to be the one who was going to score in that first half if he was going to score. But I think the genius part for coach Rabatol, coach Owen Tekama was, okay, number one, we're sitting back. But the difference between what his setup and Clinton Larson's setup is that Clinton Larson's setup was a lot more open, which meant that Chipezeze had a lot to do. There were a lot of shots that Magesi was facing, and you could even see it in the league that these guys are facing a ton of shots. But what was great was going forward. The way that Vandala, who literally got announced today, but anyway, the way Vandala was holding that line, the way Uwanda Boy Makubo came in and he was providing a physical threat to those defenders. You see, Mamelodi Sundowns defenders don't like a physical presence. They don't like to fight. And I think Uwanda Boy, his movement, his intelligence caused so many problems for that Mamelodi Sundowns defense, especially Khoza, a player that I love. And then, of course, you had the cross-in, and Sundowns generally struggles with crosses, especially when you play against a very good crossing team. Like, I think if Chirambadare was in this game, it would be a completely different game. So, first half, you give it to Magesi. First half, you say, Magesi, you did everything that you were meant to do in that game. You frustrated them, you scored your goal, you had an element of danger. Wonder Boy could have gotten a second goal. Went through, won the ball, could have gotten that second goal. And I want to highlight that physicality because we saw a similar thing with Chivavaero, for example. And the greatness of the first half that Magesi had for me was also built upon the fact that the thing I always say, you can be defensive. You can come in and play a defensive game. But you have to have some sort of danger. Some sort of danger that reminds the other team that we can't be loose. That brings in an extra defender to cover our cause. Because you saw that, hey, corner something, lad. We need to commit people back. But here's the genius, I guess, of Cardoso. He read the situation. I've said now for a couple of weeks that for me, the weak link is Umkhulise. Because Umkhulise can't do what Obas does. He can't do what Kutsia does. And in effect, what happens is that the whole of Sundowns takes 3 steps back. And Allenda wants to help a bit more. And Ribeiro wants to drop back in a bit more. And even in this game, because you have Onyango, you don't even have that capability to play out from the back like that. And it slows down the game, number one. And it's ineffective, number two, because basically they're covering for him. Now, I don't know if it's the player or if he's playing in the wrong position. But because of that, Ribeiro also drops in. And what do we know about Ribeiro? What did I say last week? The further he is away from the opposition's goals, the further he is, the more selfish he becomes, the more his decision-making leaves him. What did we say about the front? Shalulile and Reyners cannot play together. I have a video you can watch. I've said it. Cannot play together because they run into the same avenues. And because Shalulile, I believe, is the more alpha, is the more senior player, it shrinks Ureinas. And Ureinas doesn't know. He can't go to the wing because Lunga's there. He can't go drop inside, especially in this game, because the ball wasn't coming inside. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abu Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But to give credit again, let's move on to the second half. The second half, he read this. He saw that, okay, let me take off Mkhulisi. Let me bring on Matthews. Let me take off... he took off, I'm forgetting who he took off to bring in Sales. I think it's Moran. To bring in Sales. And he said, okay, Magesi is sitting back. They're compact. They're not moving around. They're not doing whatever. Instead of having two strikers up there, what if we have two tens who can play in the half spaces? Who can control, man, that little space? And what Sales did that was so great was confuse the defense and the midfield, because not only at times was he running to the line, he was also coming back in and dragging people. Which is where I then question the awareness and the discipline of players in the PSL. Because there was points where the centre back was chasing Sales. There's no need for you to chase Sales. There's no need. You just have to occupy a space so that Sales doesn't have a place to go. But when you start moving around, that's where Sundowns thrives. Because they take advantage of the spaces you leave when you move. They can do it from the back, how they play out from the press. Ronwen drags somebody. Because that somebody's dragged, there's a space. We play it there. We put it into the space. We're gone. We've broken the press. But now what we're seeing was that having an extra man in Sales, and an extra man that has a particular skill set. I've said it before, Sales is not a striker. But what Sales loves to do is to play the 1-2s. And those are line-breaking 1-2s. Okay, everybody's sitting. Sales runs into space. I know that when I give him the ball, he's not going to hold it. But the defenders and the midfielders were not here enough to see that, oh, Sales is doing that thing. They follow him. And when they follow him, he's broken it. Now Sundowns was getting more joy centrally. And you are watching about Ribeiro start getting into the game. The other thing that I think Magesi did wrong, especially versus a team like Sundowns, back to what I said in the first half, you can defend, but you need a threat. The moment Wonder Boy got tired, Grant Kekana was playing left wing. Because at that point, Sundowns realized that, oh, these guys are not coming for us anymore. There were some breaks here and there, but, oh, these guys are not coming us. Okay, Libusa, come on. We'll leave you and Khoza at the back. In fact, sometimes we'll leave Khoza as the only central person. And we'll push Grant Kekana. Again, genius from the coach, Cardoso, pushing that line. And then when Magesi decided to sit back and go deeper and defend deeply, I don't know if it's a mentality that they believe that, okay, they can defend for 45 minutes. I don't know. But they started sitting back. And that allowed not only for Grant Kekana to go up, but it also allowed for that whole Sundowns team to move up. And when they move up like that, the problem they were having in not being able to connect, the spaces were too far. Now, by virtue of Magesi sitting back, that whole team moves up. And you know what happens? The spaces get smaller. Now it's easier for me to find Alenda, for Alenda to find the next player, for that player to find somebody else, because now they've basically trapped you in your own half. They don't have 100 meters to work with. They just have to work with that 50. And Magesi defended and defended and defended. And if there's one thing you don't do when you play championship level teams like Mamelodi Sundowns, is you don't defend and give them confidence, because something will break. A defender will slip and a ball will be scored. A random cross will come in and somebody will header that cross in. A non-dangerous ball becomes dangerous. Why? Because you're nervous. Now, I do give Magesi credit for coming back into the game. I think the last 25 minutes, the first part of the 25 minutes, of the last 25 minutes, they stopped chasing the ball and they were forcing Sundowns wide again, which is something I don't understand why they weren't doing it. Sales has beaten you once or twice. Okay, guys, stop following him. Just occupy space. It's going to force them to go wide. But credit to Mamelodi Sundowns, because they kept going and they kept going and they kept going and they kept going. And it's now what? In 3 games, they've had 2 comeback wins that have been incredible. And therein lies the strength of Cardoso. I think Cardoso was brought in to Mamelodi Sundowns to be a coach that when the chips are down and you know the other team has your number or the other team is starting to attack, making that change was incredible. Because Umanqoba in that situation takes out Shalulile, puts in Matthews, and tries to continue running at Magesi, trying to find spaces in behind. And that maybe doesn't work because Magesi will be sitting back. We saw a similar picture versus Polokwane City. Rulani maybe still tries to hold the ball, but he tends to just go wide and just pummel crosses in. There comes a time where Mendieta would come onto the pitch and they just pummel crosses in and hope that something happens. But to have the awareness to say, okay, and the understanding of your players to go, okay, let me bring in Sales and play that double 10 and just have him, just by that move, allow us to move around. That was a pretty great change. I was on live. It was suggested by, I believe it was Agent who was suggesting that bring on Sales to break that thing. And people were going, no, it's not the sub to make. And it turned out to be the sub that changed the game. So well done to Coach Cardoso, well done to Sundowns. I think they're learning who they are and what they are. They're learning what this coach is. Because remember, he's only come in now. They're learning. And once they click, it's going to be scary. But the fact that they're grinding these results right now, the way that they're grinding these results and they're finding these results, especially when they need it, I think it bodes well for Mamelodi Sundowns. Unfortunately for Magesi, I think this is the difference between a CAF Champions League perennial contender, Mamelodi Sundowns, versus an NFD side. And they're not very far from a lot of teams in the league. I don't want to make it seem like it's just them. But when somebody's been doing something and they do something else, you have to adapt. And you can't take 20 minutes to adapt. And maybe that's why Magesi is sitting number 16 right now. But I want to end it off on a positive note. Well done to Mamelodi Sundowns. Another win. Another pressure release. Another great comeback that I think is another jolt of confidence to that team. Coach Cardoso, the only thing I'll say is that sometimes you're not going to get that second half. You're not going to get that chance. If Magesi was a little bit more clinical, maybe this game is a completely different game. But I enjoy that he's so technical in terms of the changes that he makes and how he switches the game and how he changes tactics. Most PSL teams don't have a plan B or a tactic B. So well done. Well done to Mamelodi Sundowns. I'll see you guys on the next one.